Hey guys, I wanted to show you something kind of cool, a little bit of a humble brag, but yeah, so I'm opening this gym in kind of the middle of nowhere. Doesn't really look like, it's like a residential kind of neighborhood, kind of sketchy, but I want to show you something.
There's a man who has generated over 700 million views on his channel in just a few years. A man who started out as a nobody, struggling to break even 100 views while talking to himself in his room. But yet, that man grew into the legend we know today as Alex Hormozi. But there's something many of you don't know about him. At some point in his period of making multiple videos per week with valuable information but still no success, he stumbled across a completely new way of making content that fundamentally changed his entire YouTube approach, and of course his results changed along with it. To examine this, we'll first look at the most important reason people even watch Alex in the first place.
You guys want to hear something completely insane? Yes? Okay, you're gonna have to hear it anyways. I was able to take home more in a year than the CEOs of McDonald's, IKEA, Ford, Motorola, and Yahoo combined as a kid in his 20s for over half a decade. There you go.
In the span of just 20 seconds, this man has told us some of the most insane information we've probably ever heard anybody claim on this app. However, there's a very critical reason for his choice of words that you should pay attention to. Ask yourself, when you're making a video and putting it on the platform, why the hell would somebody choose to watch you over somebody else who has more success and more results? If you can't answer that, then that's the problem. The truth is, there is only one point to watching YouTube videos in the first place, and that is to get value. But people have no idea who you are, which means you could have all the value in the world, but they literally would not know that. This is why Alex at the very start of the video is showing you just how much value he has before he says absolutely anything else. And because he's making such high-level claims at the start, as long as we believe he's telling the truth, that instantly makes us believe that it's absolutely fundamental we watch more of the video. And even if we don't believe him, we'll still watch to find out if he's actually the real deal. It's a win-win. However, one piece of the puzzle does not solve the entire thing. This alone does not guarantee that we as viewers will watch the full video. And realistically, he's probably only bought himself about 30 more seconds of our time before we decide whether this guy can actually deliver or if he's just full of it. Which is the reason why it's up to him as a creator to hack our brains once more and make sure we don't click off the video, which he masterfully does with this next strategy.
And so me expressing this will create envy in some people, it will create anger in others, skepticism in most, confusion in old people, and inspire a select few. And so the select few, you are who I'm making this for. Everyone else you can chill, but you are the people that I'm making this for.
When you were a child and the kids would say, only the losers wear these types of clothes, it made you want to stay as far away from that stereotype as possible. This is because us humans always want the approval of those we look up to, and Alex is taking advantage of this right here. He first gives a list of negative qualities and then ascribes them to all of the people who will either not believe what he's saying or will click off the video. After doing this, he also goes on to say that only a select few chosen ones will actually get the message. And because everybody likes to think that they're special, people are subconsciously going to try very hard to feel like they're included in that chosen few that this high value person is talking about. And so right there, he's just bought himself another 30 seconds of your time. Now that he's given you a reason to invest and made you feel like you've made some kind of commitment to being one of the select few, he now knows he can safely transition into the actual information of the video with a decent level of certainty that you won't click off. However, this is the part where most people actually mess up terribly. So badly that sometimes even when I'm watching a video that has an amazingly executed hook, if this next part is not done right, I am absolutely gone. Let's take a look at what I mean.
Who wants to hear about some stuff that can shortcut their path to material success so they can ponder the purpose of achieving it to begin with? All right, so we're gonna cover 3 things today. This is fresh from this morning, right off the press. Number 1, how making money really works. Number 2, why new stuff is making you poor. Number 3, why better is the way. You're like, that doesn't make sense yet. It will.
See, most people think it's a good idea to tell your audience what's coming in a video. However, this is almost universally a mistake, except for the one exception that Alex just did. Let me explain. If this was a video teaching me how to grow on YouTube and he showed me a chart saying, number 1, how to edit thumbnails, 2, how to make titles, 3, best editing software, I personally feel like I already know all of this information, so as soon as I see that, I don't care how hooked I am, I'm leaving. This is because 99% of you literally give away all of your cards to the audience before the video even starts. And once those people feel like you're not gonna give them new information, they are leaving. Even if those segments of the video had very valuable insights, they would literally not care enough to stick around and even find out. But if that's the case, why was Alex able to do this efficiently and take this strategy that usually kills people's retention and turn it into something that not only buys more of the viewer's time, but is probably one of the most effective tactics in this whole video? Well, take a look at this. You see, as much as he's telling you what's coming in the presentation, read these titles and tell me what you actually feel. Because I don't know about you, but I don't actually know what any of these things mean. If anything, they actually make me even more confused and want to find out what's coming next. An example that you can literally copy is that instead of a YouTube growth video being introduced to us with a lame table of contents like the one I showed earlier, if instead the person had introduced the sections differently by saying something along the lines of 1. Secrets to double your CTR, 2. How to clickbait ethically, and 3. How your software is holding you back, in brackets Premiere Pro, Vegas, and DaVinci, I as a viewer would instantly have my ears perked up and feel compelled to sit through that entire video to find out why this man is dissing my software. Or even how to clickbait ethically, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it's literally the same information. I'm still showing you how to make good thumbnails, and I'm still showing you the advantages and disadvantages of each editing software, but it's just packaged in a way that makes your brain actually want to find out more, which is actually a concept that Alex does not let go of, and you'll see exactly what I mean in the next clip now that we're past the intro and moving into his segment number 1.
Who believes that no one can outwork them? You're gonna see where I'm gonna go with this. Well, I'm going to attempt to prove you wrong. The reason this is so important is that all of us claim, or I have heard, who here has seen a guru on the internet say, no one can outwork me? Who has heard people say that on podcasts, make Instagram posts about it, whatever? It actually drives me fucking bananas. How can we claim that we work every day, and yet we can't even define the word? So how do you define work?
He starts the first segment of his presentation by asking questions about basic definitions that everyone thinks they already know. This might seem obvious because, of course, one has to define a problem before they can even solve it. However, what you probably didn't realize is that even though his hook section of the video is over, this is actually another form of hooking technique, because he's asking all these questions and creating all these new definitions for simple words like work and effort. But all that's going on in your brain as a viewer is, where the heck is bro even going with this? And as long as you have that question in your head, you will keep letting him cook until he reaches his final destination, buying him not just 30 more seconds of your time, but however long he chooses to make that explanation before he eventually gets to the point, which is why it's so powerful.
So if it's not force times distance to define what work is, and if it's not the amount of time we're putting into the work that we do, and it's not the effort that we are expending or how hard we try, then what's work? We have to get clear on it, because if that's what we have to do to make money, then we gotta know what we're actually trying to fucking do. So here's Alex's definition.
And finally, after all the explaining and hooking you in to find out where he's going, he gets to the point.
Work equals outputs. Outputs equal volume times leverage. In plain speak, number of times you do something times how much you get out of each time you do it. How do we work faster? Work rate equals that same thing divided by time. Plain speak, output per minute of time. That is how you work faster, which means that the hardest working man in the world can be objectively measured. That guy is the hardest guy working in the world.
And now, because of all the build-up, you feel like you've learned something significant, even if you wouldn't have felt that way had he just told you straightforward. But take a look even closer at this.
So, who's going to be the 2027 champ? The point of me doing this is that I hope it's somebody here. Who would like to be the 2027 champ? All right, let's rock. So, if you want to be it, then please pay attention. This will help you. So, how can we get more output?
Right after he delivers, immediately he wastes absolutely no time and is already back to asking another question. And this is a prime example of what I want you to understand about YouTube, which will literally allow you to blow up pretty much any channel. This game is all it is. YouTube is literally just a game of buying the viewer's time over and over and over again, which comes in the form of posing questions, making people want the answers, building up the curiosity even higher, finally giving them the answers, but before they can realize they're satisfied, quickly raising another question in their head so that they can continue being in the trance and not click away. It's literally how every single big YouTuber programs their videos, and if you didn't realize it before, you're sure as hell gonna see the patterns now. And I know what some of you are thinking, oh my god, this sounds manipulative and evil and messed up. But if you really do feel that way, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. If you haven't noticed by now, the format I described in this very video is pretty pretty much identical to how they teach us to write essays in school. An introduction with a strong hook, telling your audience your 3 main ideas, and then when you start the first paragraph, you hook them again with your topic sentence before you ever start going into the information. Why do you think they teach us to write essays this way? And why do you think that every form of media is essentially programmed to do the same thing as these YouTube videos? From movies to TV shows to even books. It's because the people who are good writers understand that part of being a good communicator is effectively getting your ideas across. And you can't get your ideas across if people don't care enough to consume them. It's like having a friend who always tells really boring stories. While you might listen to your boring friend talk, that's only out of pity, and you're probably waiting for him to finish the entire time, as he just goes on and on about the most irrelevant details. Versus another friend you have who every time he opens his mouth, he literally has you laughing on the floor and hanging on to the edge of your seat, even when his stories are about literally nothing meaningful. Both of those people are chatting for long periods. However, the second friend could literally talk for hours and you wouldn't have a problem. In fact, you'd probably end up asking him questions and want to hear even more, because in this world, storytelling is a skill, and there are people who are good and people who suck. And while in the real world we may struggle through our friends' boring reports about their minor problems, random people on the internet are not going to magically wake up one day and just feel like giving you their time out of pity. You're not special. You have to force them to feel like they actually have a reason to watch more, one brain hack at a time. And if you can be good at everything we just discussed in this video, then you will literally maximize your retention on YouTube, and the rewards will be great. And speaking of retention, if you want to learn how I got almost 100k views on my first ever upload to YouTube on my other channel, click the video on your screen right now for that full breakdown. And as always, this content has been decoded.